Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through? But that's the doggone season that he won't try something new. A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who brings the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you. And Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you'll cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. North American continent, Western Hemisphere, on this planet Earth. The only one. We have third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is TKE tonight, Kennedy Effect tonight, for the 17th of December, 2024. The days are passing hot and heavy, even though it is winter. It's not, officially winter, but it feels like winter. Well, today, actually, it was 60, I think it hit 63 degrees here in the Lehigh Valley. So kind of, it didn't feel like winter, but it's dropping quickly. I think we're due, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're due to get back into some pretty seriously cold temperatures here in a couple of days. Like an idiot. I'm looking dead in the middle of what I'm supposed to be doing. 52 tomorrow, then 44, 37, 30s, 20s into Christmas. But anyway, let me, before I forget, let me also say to all of you, not just welcome, but we wish you, everyone at GCPR, everyone here at the Kennedy Effect, from our families to your families, we wish you the absolute best of this holiday season, whether you celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, or celebrate or the winter solstice, the Druids and Celts. Or whether you do not celebrate anything at all, we still wish you the absolute best that could possibly come your way in this holiday season. We're proud to have George monitoring in the chat. We're getting closer, kids, to getting some new equipment. We're going to tackle this after the new year, after the wedding and after the new year and all that. George and I are going to have to carve out some time to sit and do nothing but work on hardware. And then once the hardware, then the software. We'll see if we can get everything straightened away. Business end of the program. It's 8:07. This is TKE tonight for the 14th. I just said it a couple of seconds. And already, what is going on here? 17th of December, 2024. You can watch us live right now. Well, in fact, we are flat out live right now on the Facebook pages of Ghost Club Productions, the TCP Media Group, Our Revolution Pennsylvania, my own Facebook page there, Jeff Kennedy, and of course our home group Facebook page for all things that surround our program, That Other Side of Information. It's also the name of our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. You You can watch us there live right now. Also, the single best place to catch up on our program if you should ever miss anything that we do live. We are also live right now on Twitch, Jeff R. Kennedy. By the way, I did some digging into my Twitch profile. It is very barren. I really need to work on that tomorrow. I need to work on my Twitch profile. Maybe more people other than trolls, of which Twitch has a ton, will actually start watching if I fill in the profile correctly. And we are live on LinkedIn right now, Jeff, as well. The audio of the program blasting around the globe via gcpr.live, gcpr.live, Ghost Claw Productions Radio.live, Ghost Claw Productions Radio.live. Check out the website, see the schedules, bios for the hosts, synopses of the shows, and on and on and on. Remember, Hurricane Girls follows us immediately from 9 p.m. right here on GCPR. Remember the old days when I used to run over and sometimes I just wouldn't shut up and the program would run on and on and on? Not anymore. We got to be done. We have shows after us now every time that we're on. So we got to wrap it up. We got to shut up and get out of here. So Hurricane Girls follows us immediately from 9 p.m. live here on GCPR and many of the same video outlets where I am streaming right now. 11 p.m., of course, like clockwork, brings you Conversations with Team Nathan. Thomas returns tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. with a big steaming hot pot of the sound of coffee. That didn't sound really good, did it? That sounded pretty adult, if I may say so. Anyway, that's it. Look, we have a ton to get to. There's really a lot of articles I want to get to and discussion that I'd like to try to have with you. So let's dive in. Now, the phone line technically is open. Hang back just a tiny bit. If you read the header of the program, you know that I hit on a couple of different topics that I'm hoping we can get to tonight, among which is this. From the Associated Press. Suspect charged with killing United Healthcare CEO as an act of terrorism. Article is written by Jake Offenhartz and Jennifer Peltz. These are the authors of the article of the Associated Press. I continue to recommend the Associated Press app. It was recently redesigned. I don't fancy the redesign at all. I think it was much easier to use previous. And if I knew how to backdate maybe is the right word. I don't undo the update. I would undo the update. That's probably nice. I would, because I just think it just kind of was easier to use. I thought the old iteration of it, but it's still a great news source. It's free. It is still, generally speaking, easy to use, easy to read. I still recommend it highly. Of any of the domestic news sources, I think this is probably the one going right now. That's purely in print. I mean, the AP doesn't have a TV network. If I was to recommend to you TV, it would be Free Speech TV, especially from a straight newscast point of view. It would be Amy Goodman. I forget the name of her program or something. But anyway, let's get to the article. Again, Jake Offenhartz and Jennifer Peltz are the authors of the Associated Press. Dateline New York. The man accused of killing United Healthcare's CEO has been charged with murder as an act of terrorism, prosecutors said Tuesday, as they worked to bring him to a New York court from a Pennsylvania jail. Luigi Mangione already was charged with the murder in the December 4th killing of Brian Thompson. I think I kept saying Mark Thompson when we talked about this previously. It's Brian Thompson. But the terror allegation is new. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said Thompson's death on a Midtown Manhattan street was, quote, was a killing that was intended to evoke terror. And we've seen that reaction, unquote. Mangione's New York lawyer, Karen Friedman Angnifilo, I guarantee you, declined to comment. Thompson, 50, was shot while walking to a hotel where the Minnesota-based United Healthcare, the United States' biggest medical insurer, was holding an investor conference. It's called a shareholders meeting. Now we call them investor conferences to make them sound a little more sanitary, make them sound like they're learning about the company, trying to decide new ways to grow and diversify. It's a shareholders meeting. They're all trying to figure out how to make more effing money and steal it from you. Actually keep it from you. The killing kindled a fiery outpouring of resentment toward U.S. health insurance companies as Americans swapped stories online and elsewhere of being denied coverage, left in limbo as doctors and insurers disagreed, and stuck with sizable bills. The shooting also rattled C-suites as quote-unquote wanted posters with other healthcare executive named and faces appeared on New York streets, and some social media users extolled Mangione's deed as payback. As the United States completes, I shouldn't say that. I imagine as long as the Congress continues to meet, we haven't well, fascist Italy still had a parliament. Germany still had a parliament. Fascist Germany still had a parliament. Modern communist China has a parliament. Russia has a parliament. They don't do anything. They don't have any real power, but they exist. As the United States falls deeper and deeper into oligarchical fascism, one has to wonder, which, by the way, is a lot of syllables and a lot of letters and a lot of, can I buy a vowel, Pat? We're saying rule by the billionaires. By, of, and for the billionaires. The Republican, the former political party known as Republicans, which are now just a completely 100% wholly owned subsidiary of the billionaires with Trump as its head. This is now the MAGA party. We shouldn't even be calling them Republicans anymore. The word itself is hollow and meaningless. The media would be well wise to stop doing it as well, except they won't because they've been neutered. They quite literally had their genitals sliced by Trump, somewhat willingly. But the MAGA party is a wholly owned subsidiary of the billionaires. When Trump is sworn in, and as he, through his own will, whims, mood of the day, plus the implementation of Project 2025, as they make Congress more and more irrelevant, and the immunity clause handed Trump by the Supreme Court, it's almost as if they knew he was going to win. Can't imagine them giving decision like that to Kamala Harris. It's almost as if they knew Trump was going to win. Somehow I think they did. But they've neutered themselves to an extent because he can now ignore the court whenever he wishes. As the country continues its slide into pure fascism, rule, R-U-L-E, rule of, by, and for the billionaires, one has to wonder and ask yourself if Mr. Mangione is being made an example of. What mass terror did the murder of Brian Thompson create? This is not the same as the bombing of the World Trade Center in 1993. I'm leaving September 11th entirely out of it. This is not the same as the Oklahoma City bombing, or the Unabomber, or the mailing of white powder all over Capitol Hill following September 11th. This is not the same thing. This appears to be a targeted murder. Make no mistake, it is a murder. And it's not how we settle differences in this country. Or at least it shouldn't be. Increasingly, it seems as if it is. But it's not how we should do such things. We used to have such a thing in this country called political discourse. We used to have debate. We used to try to come to compromise. So unless you're another billionaire CEO, what kind of terror did Mr. Mangione cause? Unlike some on the left, unlike some in the, I wouldn't even call them the left. I just kind of call it an anarchist kind of movement. A burn it all down and start over kind of movement. Mr. Mangione is not a hero. He is not. He is, in a manner of speaking, a vigilante. And there are many vigilantes in comic book fame who are heroes. The Daredevil, Batman, the Punisher, among others. Mr. Mangione is not a hero. He murdered Brian Thompson, by all indication. He has not been tried yet. He has not been convicted. But I cannot imagine that he would have been, that he would have been arrested and held at this high a security if law enforcement thought they had the wrong person. They are convinced they have the right guy. This was cold-blooded murder, make no doubt about it. But terror? Terrorism? Who exactly did Mr. Mangione terrorize? More people in the country think he's a hero than he is a criminal. So who did he terrorize? He terrorized billionaires. Because they run everything. I think Mr. Mangione is being set up to be not a scapegoat, because by all indication he looks guilty as charged. He hasn't been tried yet, so he He is, by U.S. system, innocent until proven guilty. He remains innocent until proven guilty. But the case is looking pretty darn ironclad. That said, terrorism? I'm beginning to think that he is being made an example of by a system of, by, and for the billionaires. Mr. Mangione is in all likelihood going to prison. It might be years from now, to be honest. We know how long these trials can take, and all the different motions, and the pre-trial, and then finding a jury, and we know that this could take years. But we also know, even if you follow this story passively, pretty darn certain they got the right guy. But terrorism? Really? Terrorism? I told you when Mr. Mangione did this, or at least when the reporting of it began, I really need to stop saying that he did this before I get sued. He is innocent until proven guilty. It sure as hell doesn't look good for him. But he is innocent until proven guilty. I need to remember that, and I should speak in those terms. But it would seem to me that the only people who are feeling threatened here are people like Brian Thompson. The other health, wink, 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 insurance CEOs, the Jamie Dimons of the world, the Jeffrey Yasses of the world. It seems to me the billionaires who have taken firm control of this country, who now own it and run it outright. Seems to me they're the only ones worried here. They're the only ones that were quote unquote terrorized. I don't think anybody in New York was feeling that they were suddenly in danger. None of them are CEOs of a healthcare company. I think Mr. Mangione might be being set up as an example. Not set up for the crime. By all appearance, he did the crime. Innocent until proven guilty, he has not seen a courtroom yet. But they've already traced the weapon, the video, all, the catching him on camera, all that stuff. He looks pretty darn guilty. By all appearance, it would appear that he did the crime, but terrorism, I don't see it. I think the gentleman might be sitting. I think Mr. Mangione might be being set up as an example to the rest of us. Don't F with the billionaires. There's a couple other things I wanted to get to. Here's one of them. Headline: a couple hundred North Korean troops killed, wounded in battles with Ukrainian forces. This is by Lolita C. Baldour of the Associated Press from earlier today. Dateline: Washington. A couple hundred North Korean troops fighting alongside Russian forces against Ukraine have been killed or wounded during battle in the Kursk border region, a senior military official said Tuesday. The official did not provide details on exactly how many have been killed, but said the North Korean forces do not appear to be battle hardened, which contributes to the number of casualties they've had. The official was providing the first significant estimate of North Korean casualties, which comes several weeks after Ukraine announced that North Korea had sent 10 to 12,000 troops to Russia to help it in the almost 3-year war. White House and Pentagon on Monday confirmed that the North Korean forces have been battling on the front lines in largely infantry positions. They've been fighting with Russian units and, in some cases, independently around Kursk. They are cannon fodder for the Russians. They are meat to be thrown into the grinder. And now it appears that they're not performing terribly well. This on top of the number of soldiers that North Korean soldiers that reportedly have defected, the fact that some of them are seeing the internet for the first time and have discovered, shall we say, many of the pleasures of the internet, if you will, as I try to be, try to be a little subtle. Now we're finding out, as it would seem, they're not fighting that well, or at least they're not faring that well. Now, the contradictory piece of that would be right here in the last paragraph that I just read, that in some cases the North Koreans have been fighting on their own. I can't imagine if they were that bad a fighter, if they had no idea what they were doing, that the Russians would leave them on their own. But apparently they have, according to this recording. So maybe they're not doing as badly as we think. But the fact that they're beginning to take deaths and casualties is significant. Because one has, as repressive a regime as North Korea is, and it is probably the single most repressive regime on the planet. One has to wonder how many parents, how many families of dead soldiers, knowing that their family members were sent to fight on behalf of Russia. People can put two and two together. We've always been told that there's that the North Korean populace, by and large, is pretty wholly brainwashed that anything that the ruling family tells them is gospel truth, and that they are loyal to the last. They believe nothing other than what they are told. They do not think for themselves. They do not, nothing. They do as they are told. Well, people can still think. If you watch any kind of reporting out of South Korea, they're constantly smuggling letters. They still on CDs and recording and thumb drives, smuggle in television programming from the South and from the United States. North Korea is one of those places where Voice of America broadcasts into, at least until Kerry Lake destroys it. It's significant. People can think, they can put two and two together. And even if they can't, imagine a set of North Korean parents. The father probably served in the military. Maybe they're in their 50s, early 50s, late 40s. And their son, and they get told that their son is dead in some remote forest in Ukraine. I would think human nature would make them start to question why. I continue to think that this story is significant. I don't seem to be, my feeling of its significance does not seem to be being held up in the American media, other than the Associated Press, to be fair. But I just continue to think that it's fascinating, and I think it's a big damn story. Truly, I do. I don't know. Headline: after investigating January 6th, House GOP sides with Trump and goes after Liz Cheney. This is by Lisa Mascaro, Dateline, Washington. Wrapping up their own investigation on the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack, House Republicans have concluded it's former GOP rep Liz Cheney who should be prosecuted for probing what happened when President Donald Trump sent his mob of supporters as Congress was certifying the 2020 election. Findings issued Tuesday show the Republican Party working to reinforce Trump's desire to punish his perceived enemies, including Cheney and members of the January 6th committee that the president-elect has said should be in jail. House Administration Committee Chairman Barry Loudermilk, Republican of Georgia. Oh, metropolitan, educated, and enlightened Georgia. Quote, until we hold accountable those responsible and reform our institutions, we will not fully regain trust. The panel, Republicans' 128-page interim report, arrives as Trump is preparing to return to the White House and working to staff his administration with officials at the highest levels, including Kash Patel as FBI director, and a man who does nothing but scam cash for his livelihood. What an appropriate name. Trump also vows to pardon people who were convicted for their roles in the riot at the Capitol. This is classic fascist dictatorial stuff. Trump pardons and frees all those people who are in jail for January 6th. Those become the brown shirts. They become the 1920s Italian black shirts. They become the 1930s German brown shirts. It's his own private army. It won't be long before they're in uniform, wearing some sort of armband, maybe red with a white circle with a black T in the middle of it. Bonus points for anybody who gets the reference. I know George already did it. Picture it, it'll come to you. The kind of folks who would possibly see me in the middle of the grocery store, maybe recognize me and either harass the hell out of me or just beat me senseless. The book burners. Kristallnacht. Ones who will throw Molotov cocktails through the windows of your home. We're not far. We're not far. It's been interesting. Trump this past week at his impromptu news conference at Mar-a-Lago began to back off a few of his campaign promises. In an interview with, I think his interview might have been with Kirsten Welker of NBC, but I could very well have that wrong. And forgive me if I have it wrong. I could have it wrong. Asked about, is he going to be able to bring retail prices down? Well, it's hard. I don't know. Can't guarantee that. Once they go up, it's really hard to bring them down. I'm sorry, what shit was he spewing all over the country during the campaign? evil Democrats rose prices, and he was going to bring prices down. And if he had to, he was going to call in the CEOs and tell them they had to lower prices, and that somehow cutting off trade with China was going to lower prices. Now it's like, oh, I don't know. They're awful high. I'm not sure I can do anything about that. Steve Bannon has already floated the idea of Trump running for a third term. Trump himself has already talked about, well, if people really want me, I guess I'll run for a third term, even though it is flat out unconstitutional. Today, he talked about privatizing the Postal Service again, even though the Postal Service is specifically outlined in the Constitution as a duty and responsibility of the federal government. But then again, he has immunity. He can ignore the Constitution. And once the Postal Service is privatized, it's never coming back. You think 50 cents is a lot for a stamp? Try sending a letter across town when your only choices are UPS and FedEx. The truth is starting to come out. All the things that he lied to you about during the campaign, the truth is starting to come out. Now, interestingly, one thing that did come out of that press conference is Trump said he believes in the polio vaccine, even though he still intends to appoint, well, not appoint, sorry. He has nominated and still wants to see RFK Jr. as the head of, as Secretary of Health and Human Services, the highest health-related post in the land. But did say flat out that he disagrees with RFK Jr. about vaccines and believes vaccines work. Now, why would he say such a thing, Trump? Because he took credit for the COVID vaccine. And to be honest, the amount of money that his administration invested, I would say basically handed over to the pharmaceutical companies, free money. They were going to work on a vaccine anyway. They made billions and they made tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars on that vaccine. They were going to make a vaccine anyway. But the amount of money that he handed over to them allowed them to put more people, more time, more hours, and get it out quicker. He believes in the big pharma side of vaccines. They're profitable. They're very profitable. I am Jeff Kennedy, and you are watching and listening live to TKE tonight for the 17th of December, 2024. We got about 15 minutes left in the program. Coming up immediately following us on GCPR and many of these video streaming outlets that you are seeing me, Hurricane Girls, live from 9 p.m. Eastern. Conversations with T. Nathan, like clockwork. If it's 11 p.m. Eastern time, Conversations with T. Nathan. Thomas returns tomorrow morning with a fresh pot of the sound of coffee from 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. We are live right now on the Facebook pages of the TCP Media Group, Our Revolution Pennsylvania, and Ghost Claw Productions. My own Facebook page, Jeff Kennedy, and our Facebook group for all things that have to do with our program, That Other Side of Information. It's also the name of our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. We are live there right now. Always the best place to catch up on the program if you should ever miss anything. You're going to want to stay tuned to the YouTube channel soon, when George and I have to spend late nights, and I'm talking midnight, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, awake testing equipment. And when we have to go live, it'll be on YouTube. And sometimes it is just ridiculous. Sometimes it's hilarious. Sometimes it's me threatening to throw a computer equipment and bash it with hammers. And George has to talk me off the ledge. Everything that we've ever recorded is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/that other side of information, including some of our wacky testing videos. They're funny and stupid and just silly, but yet they're fun and goofy, and there should be more of them coming pretty soon. The audio of the program blasts around the globe via GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, .live, GCPR.live, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, .live. Go to the website, check it out. Everything is there. You can listen directly through the website for free. There's no login, no credit card info, no PayPal info, none of that. Blood sample, fingerprint, retina scan, none of that stuff. GCPR.live. Type it into any search engine, find us, and you can listen. It's very, very simple, and we hope you will do so all day, every day. I own it, half of it. We really appreciate if you would tell people about it and tune in. Huge variety of shows and more on the way. So we got about 15, no, we don't, not 15. Yeah, we do. It's about 15 minutes left in the show. Let's get back to the news. Your comments and questions. George is saying in the chat that this is, you know what, I forgot this feature and I'm not sure why. George is 100% correct here. I usually talk the computer from jumping. Yeah, well, that's true too, because sometimes the computer knows it might be the target of violence, of human on machine violence. Yes, it has. I have threatened to throw this iMac more than once. That was before it destroyed my back. I'm not even sure I can pick the damn thing up now at this point. But George is correct. He has talked me off the ledge from destroying a lot of equipment. I can tell you that just from being into an Irish temper. Can I tell you? Oh, quick programming note. I should let you know. We are scheduled to be with you Thursday from 8 p.m. We are scheduled to be with you Sunday from 6, our last program until 2025. I'm not 100% sure what's going on Sunday yet. We may have family and friends in town. I don't know that I'll be back here in time to be on the air at 6. That is yet to be determined. Stay tuned to the Facebook page. We'll keep you up to date. Back to the Associated Press. Headline, police chief says motive for Wisconsin school shooting was, quote, a combination of factors. The story is authored by Scott Bauer and Devi Shastri, Shastri. Devi, well, you can pronounce that Davy too, actually. Sastri. I butcher so many of the authors' names. I can tell you none of them listen because nobody's called me or wrote me to say, like, you just destroyed my name, mate. Can you do better? And they're not wrong. Dateline, Madison, Wisconsin. The motive for a shooting that killed a teacher and a student and wounded others at a Wisconsin school appears to be a combination of factors, the police chief said Tuesday, as he appealed to the public to share what they might know about the 15-year-old girl who attacked a study hall before shooting herself. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes offered no details about a possible motive, though he said bullying at the Abundant Life Christian School would be investigated. Barnes said police are also investigating writings that may have been penned by Natalie Rupnell and could shed light on her actions. She obviously would have been the shooter. Quote, identifying a motive is our top priority, but at this time it appears that the motive is a combination of factors, the chief told reporters. Barnes gave the number of a tip line for anyone who might have known the shooter and her feelings. In addition to the deaths, 6 people were wounded, including 2 students who remain in critical condition. The shooter died of a self-inflicted gunshot. Abundant Life is a non-denominational Christian school, pre-kindergarten through high school, with approximately 420 students in Madison, the state capital. You know, so the shooting occurred yesterday. We weren't on the air. And I thought to myself, well, I should probably do a show to talk about this. And then I thought to myself, why would I do that? Now, I'm going to plead guilty to something before I ever really get into it. I'm going to plead guilty for quite possibly giving up the fight. What do I mean by that? I didn't rush to get on the air last night to talk about the shooting because it's just another shooting. If you go to that school, if you were the parents of the murdered child, if you were the family of the murdered teacher, or any of the wounded, or just anyone with a heart, unless you're, MAGA, you would be bothered by this story. And I am bothered by it too. But I also know that it's not going to change anything. If anything, it will likely be twisted by the gun fetishists to continue to support their point of view of a completely unregulated, unlimited, unbounded Second Amendment. Well, how would that happen? This shooting seems to break many of the norms. The shooter was a girl. Most are male. In fact, nearly all that I can remember have been male. This is the first girl I can recall. I'm not going to say she is the first, because I think I'd probably be wrong. She's the first I can recall. She used a handgun, not an AR-15 style. But we've seen the same shit that we always see. Thoughts and prayers. It's not the time to talk about these things. It's not the time to talk about mental health and bullying and guns. And let's just let all the dust settle, and then we'll circle back on these topics. Oh, bullshit. We're not going to do any of that because this is America. Because we're a fascist country now. Because mega multimillionaires and billionaires who own weapons manufacturing companies and the stock of those companies don't want anything to happen. %90 of Americans, not 90% of Republicans, not 90% of Democrats, not 90% of gun owners, 90% of the entire population supports expanded background checks, yet we've never seen them. 80 plus % of the population supports red flag laws, but we don't have them. 67% think AR-15s should be banned, and that military-style assault weapons should be off the streets. Have we seen that? You can barely get 9 out of 10 people to agree the sky is blue. Because the gun lobby and the billionaires that own the gun lobby own government. They own the MAGA party. Sadly, they own too many damn Democrats. Do I care about this shooting? Of course I do. As a Christian, as a human being, as an American, do I care about the extreme mental trauma, emotional trauma, and suffering that everyone that surrounds that school, the community, and especially those of the killed, of the dead and wounded? Do I care about that? Do I send prayers for that? Of course I do. But I can also very easily dismiss this because nothing will come of it. Nothing will happen. Nothing will change. This school shooting was yesterday. On average, in this country, we should be due for another one tomorrow. Because I think we're averaging one every 3 days. I believe it's every 3 days. So we're due for another one anyway. I mean, of course I'm not happy about it. I'm not stupid. I'm not dead inside. I mean, I've been accused of it. I'm not dead inside. And I know that folks on the left love to take the piss out of the statement, thoughts and prayers. I'm a Christian. There's a place for thoughts and prayers. But action has to follow that. Nothing's going to change from the shooting. Nothing. It doesn't mean I don't care about it. It doesn't mean I don't feel bad about it. I think many Americans feel the same way. But it happened yesterday, so it's been a little over 24 hours going into today. By the weekend, everybody will forget about it. Possibly even sooner. Because, nothing says Christmas like a school shooting. Nothing says happy holidays like the sound of gunfire in a school. And the only reason we have done nothing about this is money. Because a small handful of people who line their pockets through death and blood and the weapons that cause them don't want anything to change. And they own the people who can change it. And the sheer silence in the chat right now makes me think that many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You may not agree. You may be put off by my bluntness. I'm not always this blunt. But on some level, you all know the truth. Nothing's going to change from this. Nothing. 2 families will have to bury their loved ones. There may be more with the 2 that are in critical condition. And once all of those services are done, the funeral's over, friends and family stop bringing food to the homes, it all goes away until the next shooting. And then we get all outraged, and then nothing happens. There's 330 million people in this country. 90% of them would be roughly 300 million people. And that's very loose math that I'm doing in my head. Polls show that out of 330 million, 300 million support expanded background checks to purchase weapons. And yet, maybe less than 100 CEOs and top executives of the weapons manufacturing industry and the largest stockholders have paid politicians to make sure nothing changes. The blood of your kids doesn't mean anything to them because you'll just make more kids. The amount of kids who are killed by guns every year doesn't equal the amount of kids who are born. So we're still at a net positive. That's all they're looking at. That's why every solution they have to everything is another gun, because that's what's more profitable. In the same way that I came to you after the election and said, for all the times that we've asked ourselves, is this really who we are as a nation? And I said, you're goddamn right. This is exactly who we are. This shooting and the fact that we'll forget about it in a few days, it's exactly who we are. And if you think I throw around the term fascism lightly, a very small handful of CEOs and stockholders have prevented the will of 90% of the American people by spreading around money. That is the strict, exact, perfect definition. 9:59, we have to end up immediately following us. Hurricane Girls for everyone at GCPR, for everyone at TKE tonight. I'm Jeff Kennedy. We've done about all the damage we can do. We will see you Thursday night from 8. Hurricane Girls immediately after us. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11. Thomas again in the morning from 8. Hurricane Girls starts right now.